Okay, well, welcome to our third innovation workshop of day 2 of our On Helix 2022 conference. I'm delighted to be joined today by Plum Turner and Priscilla Zadafo from Researcher. They're going to be giving you a little bit of a tour about their app, how it works, how you can use it, and cover any questions. So just a few housekeeping points before we get going. If you don't mind keeping microphones on mute, cameras off, unless invited to take them off, of course, that would be great. And if you have any comments and questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat box. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Plum and Priscilla.
Cool, Rebecca, I'm conscious that this should probably be more of a dialogue, as it's just Priscilla and I and yourself in the room. So, oh, and we got Alan as well. Hey, Alan, I'm not sure if you can hear me yet, but look, we've just got a couple of people on this, so really happy for it to be more of a conversation than kind of a presentation as such. So Priscilla, why don't we just start by introducing ourselves, and then we can go into more on Researcher and also engaging audience. So Priscilla, why don't you go first?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join our workshop. So I'm Priscilla. I'm a senior account manager at Researcher. I've been working here for 3.5 years now, mostly, joining when we were just starting to monetize the business. So quite a lot has happened since I've come on board. Previously, I was actually working in financial services within asset management and corporate finance.
Cool, thanks Priscilla. And yeah, my background is, I joined Research actually relatively recently. I've joined from an institutional background, so I've just helped launch a new university in East London called LIS. And prior to that, my roles have been across the marketing and the commercial side. So I've definitely sat on the other side of the fence where I've been making decisions on how to spend my marketing budget and also what channels I want to add to the mix. And it's really interesting now being on almost the other side where I'm considering Research, and I'm always thinking about, if I was considering Researcher, what would I be interested in, and what would be the questions I'd be asking that I'd want answers to. So yeah, really excited to join the team and to be now taking Researcher into that next phase of growth. But we actually wanted to start off with some questions, and Rebecca, Alan, I'm not sure, I mean, I know it's sometimes a bit cringy to do audience participation, but I just would love to have a conversation with you.
Okay. Sorry, I just say quickly, I'm Alan Chalmers. I run a consultancy known as Pharma International, based in the Basel area in Switzerland, and I do mostly consulting. I now concentrate in giving webinars and seminars, but that's mainly to do with Asia and China. And it's I've been attending various things at One Nucleus, One Helix over the years, and it's always interesting just to keep up to date. So I don't have specific knowledge in the area, but I'm happy to listen in.
Awesome, thank you so much, Alan. And sorry, what's your role at the Pharma International? Well,
it's my company. I run the company. Yep.
Okay.
So I do regulatory affairs, and I've for the past 10 years been qualified person under Swiss law for a wide range of smaller Swiss companies, as well as for a larger Japanese American company called Sucampo. And we also had offices in London initially, and then at the Oxford Science Park. So in those days I could attend the Bio Wednesdays and other meetings quite regularly. And I always look forward to the One Nucleus and One Helix, on Helix, at various locations in the Cambridge area. But with travel as it is, I've opted for the online possibility.
Perfect, thanks Alan. Yeah, look, totally understand with travel, it's not the easiest at the moment.
Yeah.
Rebecca, I'm not sure, it'd be great to hear from yourself as well, just a little bit on your background. And
sorry, I wasn't expecting to be on the video, so I'm actually in the middle of my office, so apologies for any background noise.
No, all good.
But I work for a company called TTP, which is based in Cambridge, and we're a product development consultancy. And my job is mostly biochemistry and project management.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much both, and thank you for joining with your camera on as well, Rebecca. Okay, so just curious for both of you, are you currently making decisions on how to engage audience? Are you working with marketing teams who are making those decisions? Like, do you have any thoughts or reflections on kind of what you've seen has worked well when you're engaging an audience, and also what has not worked so well when you've been engaging an audience?
you want to go ahead, Rebecca? I have not much to add.
Not really. I'm just listening in, really. I wasn't expecting to be the only person on the call. But we do marketing in the sense that we write blogs, we engage with podcasts and things like that, as well as posting things on LinkedIn. But it's not directly within my responsibility to do those things, although I'm sometimes involved. So I'm just here to listen to other people's thoughts, really.
Very good. I wasn't quite. So, are you good? Will there be a present? Yes. Okay.
Present. There you go. Saved by the presentation, Alan. We can listen. Why don't we kick off, and then some more questions might come up between you as we move through. But please just interject as and when you want to, and when you want to find out more. So, Priscilla, I'm going to hand over to you now for introduction.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for answering those questions. I guess this is we're just going to briefly walk you through our media pack, tell you a bit more about why it's so important to still keep up to date with research in your field, the pain points that we're trying to solve within this area. So first of all, I guess one of our co-founders, Ramiz, was actually a chemist. He worked in Oxford as well, within the Science Park, and he basically ended up cluttering his inbox from subscribing to individual, RSS feeds from publishers as well as companies that he was following, and he found that he was not always in the mood to actually, engage with those emails to find out more about what was going on in his field, and that's essentially why Researcher was born. To make sure that scientists and researchers have one place that they can go to when they are already in the mood to discover and keep up to date with the latest research. And the first prototype was actually developed at the end of 2017 with the main aim of just aggregating content and making it as easy as possible to discover. And since, I guess, the start of the coronavirus pandemic, we've actually expanded that mission to allow and facilitate discussion in the app as well, as those organic conversations weren't really taking place in the office anymore. It was becoming kind of really really difficult to engage with people that's outside of the circle that you already know. So things like conferences, meeting at conferences in the breakout area, and we wanted to facilitate that in a more structured way. So discussing a new paper that's just been published by the author, for example, or a new journal, a new product that's just been released from a life sciences company. So that's a new mission that we've added on top of our discovery, our discovery mission.
Cool. So we work with a number of life science companies already. We work with companies that are on the large scale, so the big names such as Bio-Techne, Thermo Fisher, obviously lots and lots of different products, and they've got multiple clients across all those different product lines. And then smaller ones as well. So we're able to work with companies who might be hitting the scale-up phase and they need to build awareness. Or we may work with companies such as Thermo who are using us to build brand awareness for certain product lines. So we work with essentially a whole range of different company sizes. And in terms of what is Researcher in more detail, so Researcher, we have over 20,000 different content sources on the app. And that basically is feeding into the problem that we were solving for Ramiz when he was sitting in Oxford and had all these emails and RSS feeds coming into his inbox. We are able to pull the content into one single app. It can be in your pocket, you can consume it on the go. But crucially, what we're able to do is you can build your own newsfeed. So let's say you're interested in flow cytometry or you're interested in bioconjugation. You can have a newsfeed which is singularly focused on that keyword or that topic. And then we will pull in all the latest research topics, news feeds, blogs, whatever it might be, will all be congregated into and around that search term. So you're able to keep up to date with the specific scientific area that you are interested in. And what that's resulted in is we've now, as of today, got over 2.3 million users that are on the app, and they are engaging with the content because we're helping to solve that problem for them. And cumulatively, they are creating 17 million impressions per month. So what that means for organizations, it means that this is a really powerful way to engage an audience, which is both specific, so you can be highly targeted and you know they're interested in these different topic areas, but also you know that they are consuming and engaging the content through the number of impressions they are generating together. And we have a 98% rolling monthly retention across all of our users. So that user base isn't diminishing, it's continuing to grow, and crucially, we are retaining that user base through high quality content, which has been delivered via the app. So that's the value we're delivering for our users. So people who download the app and then use the app to essentially keep up to date with the latest scientific research. And then for clients, the way that we deliver value is, let's say you are a client and you come to us and you say that I really want to reach people who are interested in respiratory diseases, or I want to reach scientists that are doing bench research in oncology. Then what we're able to do is we can say, okay, we'll go away, we'll do a count. Then we'd come back to you and say there are X number in that audience as you've defined it. And then you can choose different mechanics, different ways you want to reach that audience. So if we just go forward, then you'll see that there's a multitude of different ways that we're able to engage. So we can do, for example, awareness campaigns, we can do engagement campaigns, we can conduct market research on your behalf, and we can also both run events through Researcher or help you run your own events as well. So there's multiple different channels and ways that you can use Researcher, crucially, to reach that targeted user base that you are specifically interested in. So I'll let Priscilla just talk about the audience in a bit more detail.
In terms of our audience, so Plum has mentioned we have a total of 2.3 million users using our app, but over 1 million of those users are specifically interested in life science, medicine and healthcare. So that either means they have declared it when they created an account with us, they've followed publications that we index on the app that is in that area, or they're actually actively engaging with content within that space, regardless of whether they declared it to begin with. So that's something that we take into account dynamically, and something that we update every time a user has gone into the app and engaged with content within the app in some way. So that represents around 45% of our overall user base. This is just a region breakdown of our life and health sciences users across the globe. So we have quite a global audience. 22% of our life and health sciences users are located in China and East Asia. This hasn't always been the case. It's only quite recently, since the pandemic, did we acquire lots of users in this area, as we were invited to host the app in most of the Chinese app stores. And then also we integrated the app with WeChat as well, so that a lot of our users who are also using WeChat can receive notifications when a new paper has been added, or a new blog post from a company that they're following on the app has been added into their feed, just so that they can continue to keep up to date with new content. 21% of our audience in life sciences are also in India and South Asia. That remains to be quite a big market for us. 20% in UK and Europe, mostly actually in the UK, Germany, Italy, and Turkey. Those are our 4 biggest markets in this area. 18% in Americas. So again, mostly in the USA and Brazil. And then the rest of the world just represents Africa, which is also a growing market for us. We're working with institutions and authors in Africa just to make sure that they're able to access open access content in the app. And then also Central Asia, Australia, and New Zealand, and I guess like more remote areas that we're surprised to have users in as well, like the French Polynesia. Obviously, this is very high level, and we haven't actually broken this down further into specific areas within life sciences, or actually included a breakdown of seniority or occupation in here as well. So we're able to, of course, give you a more specific count based on your target audience that you're trying to reach as well.
Oh, thanks, Priscilla. So look, I mean, I know that when I was making decisions from a marketing point of view, I was considering, as I said, lots of different channels, and some of those channels may be including the big names we all know, so Google, Facebook's, including Instagram, or there may be other kind of more targeted and niche communities where you may be almost using an email database that you want to reach a specific community by. And so what I just want to do is say, why would someone want to work with research, and what's the difference? So the main difference is that you can go incredibly specific in your targeting from day zero. So when I was running Facebook or Google campaigns, traditionally you go wide and then you go a bit narrow, a bit narrow, a bit narrow as you learn, and you start to see where the audience is. Whilst for ourselves, you can come to us straight away and you can say, look, I'm just interested in this type of scientist, or I'm just interested in this type of practitioner. And then we can go direct and targeted to that practitioner or that scientist using different channels. And I've touched on these briefly, but we've got 4 main different avenues for doing it. So targeted advertising, that is, as you'd expect, it's kind of in feed, and it's similar to when you see, I don't know, like a sponsored post, for example, in your Facebook or your Instagram feed, or indeed like a sponsored post on Google, so PPC. So we can do targeted advertising, which is in the feed of the app. So crucially, you're hitting people, you're reaching people when they are in discovery mode. It's a lighter touch moment of delivery, and it's part of their content journey on the app. So targeted advertising is something that a lot of our clients do, and they mainly are doing it to either raise awareness or collect leads. It's really effective for lead gen. And it's worth saying that we are able to actually have an in-app native form which can collect leads. And actually what we've started to do is use that also for surveys, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Second, events. So we run our own event series called Researcher Live. Similar to how we are here, we are on an online digital format, and we are all here because we are interested in the topic. So we have started something called Researcher Live, which is an audio only, and it's no frills, and essentially people can dial in and they can join an event at any time. We're running them every day. Sometimes we have about 3 a day, and on average we're getting about 146 people turning up to those events. It obviously depends on the topic. Some topics are smaller, therefore the audience, or more niche, sorry, so the audience is smaller. Some events are very broad, like we had one on climate change. Obviously that appeals to lots of people, and you get a far higher turnout, up to kind of 400 people. But we've deliberately made it audio only because we want people to be able to consume it if they are at their desks, as I think we all are here today, or if they are picking their kids up from school, or if they're out for a walk with their dog. In all those different formats, you can join Researcher Live, and you can be on the same equal footing because you haven't got to have your camera on, you don't have to kind of think about what you're wearing on your top, and you can join into that rich discussion, but in a light moment or whatever that might be. So we offer the chance for organizations to sponsor these events. And I think the biggest message for the sponsorship is, if you were to ask why should I sponsor Researcher Live? Honestly, it's because we really do overservice and over-deliver in terms of inventory delivered. So for example, we would deliver 4 Solus emails for the event prior to the event even kicking off. Then we have our editor-in-chief actually on the event, introducing, monitoring, making sure there's no technical glitches, but importantly, making sure that you, as your organization, has a big enough voice and a part in that event. And then post, we share the recording, and we yeah, we share the recording. We basically continue to build awareness on the back of that event. So Researcher Live is relatively new. It's born out of the COVID, out of the pandemic, when suddenly conferences weren't happening, in-person events weren't happening, and we wanted to create those lighter moments online. And now what we see actually is that people, they've become really good at attending online events, but also you don't need to travel, and it is a sometimes more democratic way of actually attending an event. So yeah, that's why we've launched Researcher Live, and we've had people like Biotechne have sponsored one, PLOS have sponsored one, and also Annual Reviews. So we're getting good engagement on that way. Actually, our most recent one was on sleep, which was fascinating, and it's true, you should get 8 hours sleep is my biggest takeaway from that, but really enjoyed listening and tuning into that. And on this slide here, you can just see the types of events we've got coming up. So they are heavily focused on the life sciences. That's where our main priority is at the moment, is engaging with life science organizations. So we've got ones on flow cytometry. That's actually a repeat because the first one was so well attended. And again, actually peptide therapeutics, again, there's a lot going on in that space at the moment. It's coming up a lot when we speak to different organizations. And so we're running another one in peptide therapeutics. And then the next way that we're able to engage organizations is, Priscilla, if you just move down to the next bit, then I'll be able to talk to it, but we have market research. So this is actually relatively recent. Again, it's coming off the back of what we were hearing our clients wanted and needed. And they were getting really excited by the fact that they could conduct market research via Researcher. And the crucial thing here is, well, the benefit was twofold. One, they don't exhaust their own audience. So you're not having to go out via your own channels to ask your audience the questions you would like answers to. And secondly, and probably most importantly, actually, you're removing the bias. So there is no direct attachment between yourself and the person who's answering that question, unless you want there to be. But I think for those two reasons, so removing the bias, but also not exhausting your own audience, this is why organizations, particularly in the life sciences space, are excited to be able to work with a research audience. And there's 3 different ways that we can do it. So we can do quick response, which was what I just touched on very, very briefly. So it's a native form in the app, and it's really light touch. So it's almost similar to if you've been on Zoom meetings and you get asked a poll on the Zoom meeting. It's a similar kind of feel. So you're being asked, when you're scrolling through, 3 quick questions or 2 quick questions, or even 1 question, and you can just react straight away. And actually, what we see is people get very honest responses because you don't overthink it. Then second, custom design. This is a longer form, normally actually incentivized as well because it's requiring more time and effort from the respondent, but you can run long surveys by Researcher. And then the third is interviews. So we're doing a big project at the moment for in the clinical trial space, and we can essentially conduct interviews on your behalf. So they can be between 5 to 60 minutes long. And they can be either, we can have a light touch, so where we just literally conduct the interview for you, or they can be longer. So we can create reports off the back of it, draw conclusions, and send that summary across to you of the key insights that we've discovered. So market research is something that, yeah, we're really excited to be doing more and more of and scaling up, and also learning from organizations as to what they want and need. And then the final one, I'm not going to spend lots of time on, but essentially, again, what do we hear? We hear that organizations they're stretched on the marketing side of things. They're probably quite lean in terms of team and resource. And often they're looking to just tie up a neat project that they can outsource and get someone else to run. So we do that for events specifically. So we can, if you say, look, we want to run a webinar and we want to include these different things, or we want to have a report on the back of it, or we want to do a white paper on the back of it, we can package up exactly what you would like after listening to what you're looking for, and then take that forward and run that event for you. So that's a whistle-stop tour of all the different things we offer. And essentially the way that we work with organizations is we would have a meeting, a one-to-one. We'd hear what you want to achieve. So you'd say to us, look, I just want to grow brand awareness within this particular space, or, you know, all I care about is leads. I just want to collect leads. So we would then put together a proposal based on the inventory or the solutions we know are going to deliver those results for you. So that's a whistle-stop tour, as I said, but I'm going to hand back to Priscilla now.
Thanks, Plum. Yeah, I think another thing that we have in here, which we're happy to share this with everyone as well, is just ways like some case studies to illustrate the ways in which we have worked with our clients. So there's both examples of how we've worked with our sort of publishing clients as well as life clients in the life sciences. So obviously with Wiley, they work with life sciences companies as well, and we help promote the events that they structure on their life sciences clients' behalf as well. And then there's a sponsorship case study in here as well with Biotechne, where they sponsored our bioconjugation series earlier this year. But yeah, if you've got any questions, please feel free to pop it in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself to ask any questions.
Thank you for your presentation.
Yeah.
I'll kick things off with a question of my own, just to give people a chance to have a little think. If there's anything they would like to ask, please feel free to pop it in the chat box. But I'm really intrigued to learn about how you guys managed to grow your audience to 2.3 billion in 18 months. I mean, that's obviously really impressive. What kind of things did you use to engage?
Well, I found the presentation very interesting. It's comprehensive and very useful platform. Is it okay if we ask questions live based on the number of people, or would you prefer that we type it in to the question and answer?
Fine to ask live, Alan.
Yeah, I just thought since we're a smaller group, it's sometimes easier. So I was interested in many aspects of it, particularly your global coverage, because unlike many such systems, you do actually cover the world, and roughly speaking, 22% was China and associated East, I think it was, and about 21% India. And I couldn't quite catch where Australia and New Zealand fitted in there, but they probably do. And I presume, therefore, you work in English throughout, because you've got Brazil on the one hand and China on the other hand. So I presume the common denominator is with English. That's it. And if you look at the number of participants from China, it's very high, but not surprising considering the population, and the same with India. So probably on a per capita basis, the UK is still very high, and for Brazil also. But another question I had was, I mean, when people or companies sign up, is it a sort of downloadable app, or do you pay a subscription, or do you fund the whole thing basically through the sponsorship and organizing like these events, say for Wiley and so on?
Alan, I can kick off, and then Priscilla, do you want to, anything I missed, which I'm sure I will, you can take. But just to go back on the first question, just in terms of how do we reach 2.3 million in a relatively short space of time, actually, we're really proud to say that it was mostly organic.
Yeah.
And I think that just proves the fact that there was a need there. And this actually feeds into the next point, which is around China, and how we got really strong growth in the Chinese market. It's because we've been invited onto the app stores, and therefore, again, we've been able to benefit from that organic growth, which a lot of companies aren't able to do. And so, especially on the publishing side, scientific publishing side, they're excited by the fact they can engage with the Chinese audience through Researcher, because that's actually quite unique. And also, just to answer your question, Alan, around Australia, and where's Australia sitting on this pie chart? It's sitting in the rest of the world.
Okay, that's fine. The rest of the world's always very important. Coming back to chat, as I say, I now focus a lot on pharmaceutical regulatory affairs in China, ASEAN, Taiwan, Korea, that sort of general area. Just in a sense to know do you use Chinese systems like Alibaba, or do you use Google, or do you have your own internet? Because very often the problem in China, as you know, is the government intervention and control, and it's often necessary to sort of team up with an acceptable national provider. So how do you go about it for China?
So do you want to kick off?
Yeah. So luckily we have been, we've been quite lucky, I guess, with dealing with, navigating through those issues within the China market. We work very closely with the Charlesworth Group, who manage our WeChat account and advise us on, I guess, the app features itself. So I think, so far it's been very smooth sailing, and I think a lot of our Chinese users as well, because it's integrated with their WeChat account, it's become part of their day-to-day as well, and easy for them to stay engaged with content in the app.
No, that's very good. That's quite exciting. And you mentioned it for your interactive meetings for researcher members and others. You've decided to go for audio only, and as you say, different from others. So were there particular reasons why you decided to go for audio only?
Yeah, I think so. Some of the benefits of being audio only are the fact that we spend a lot of time right now, like we spend a lot of time like this where we've got our faces on a screen and it's somewhat performative, and actually we wanted to remove that. We wanted to make it a no frills format, and by that we mean the topic and the discussion can be rich and deep and complex, and the people on there are coming from all different types of backgrounds and can be incredibly esteemed a lot of the time, and they're led by leaders in the space, these discussions. But we wanted everyone just to be on an equal footing, and you can join from any environment. As I said, you could be in the car driving along just wanting to tune in and listen, or you could be at your desk doing research. In both those environments, you are still part of this rich discussion. So that's been really important, and actually it means that people are encouraged to turn up. You don't have to have your camera on, you don't have to speak, but you can still be part of that discussion.
No, and I suppose being on a global basis with time differences as they are, then that's probably quite a good solution. What's at the back of my mind, I was asked to chair a regional meeting in Asia from Singapore just a few weeks ago. The technical support was in Dubai, so we did have some visual as well, but of course the time differences were quite enormous. So, and I think if you can make it flexible, that's probably quite a good thing. Can I just ask, does one nucleus, or has one nucleus given thought to audio only meetings as well?
It's interesting that you would say that. It has come up in discussion. I mean, we're very used to the format that we have at the moment, and that works incredibly well. But yeah, it's definitely something that we would consider. I think you have to be careful, obviously, with audio only and being inclusive and things like that, because some people need to see captions and other visuals and things like that. But yeah, definitely something that's come up in conversation.
Because I suppose now we're in more and more hybrid situations where people have the choice of, like, for instance, on Helix this week, people can be in Cambridge or they can be online. And personally, I think there's some value in a visual participation as well, at least the speakers, and perhaps anybody. I mean, people can ask questions anonymously, not anonymously, but in the background with the chat function. I often think it's quite good to have the actual speaker or speakers visible, and that's why Zoom and similar systems, have become quite well established. And one wonders how we would have survived the last couple of years without a lot of these additional things. As I mentioned before, I always enjoyed the Bio Wednesdays, and then the annual on Helix, and then One Nucleus, the Genesis in December. but in periods where travel has not or isn't feasible, then it's a good backup. Can't cover everything, of course, but no, I was just interested because it's an interesting approach. So basically, you offer quite a wide range of services. There's a sort of regular, if you like, medium to keep up to date in particular research areas, and then also to help companies organize an online events. So I think probably meeting the needs of many companies at present.
Yeah, that's right, Alan. Like, it's a broad range of different solutions, but crucially, the way we always work is we'll always have a one-to-one, and we'll always hear what you're looking to achieve, and then we would go, okay, this is what we'd recommend. So, and actually one of the things I didn't touch on there was that we also offer email services. So you're able to both add your brand to our regular newsletter, which is targeted based on users' interests and what they've been reading. Or you can also send out a solus email, which is, single issue. You are the only organization in that email. And again, it's targeted to a very specific group of individuals and users. So yes, you've got on one hand kind of awareness building. So that's where I'd put the in-feed and the email newsletters, etc. And then you've got more around conversion. So I'm looking for leads. So that's where I'd be suggesting things like Researcher Live, or I'd be suggesting market research or in-app forms. Or you might say, actually, all I want to do is I just want to engage. I just want to have a discussion and I want to really get feedback and get engagement from the audience. Then we'd be recommending a Researcher Live so you can actually have that discussion. And it's worth saying, if anyone would like a demo of the app, then we can definitely take that forward on a one-to-one basis to show you how it works. But I would absolutely encourage and would love for everyone here to download the app, because that's the easiest way you'll get a feel. You'll start to be able to understand how it works, what it looks like, what the content looks like and feels like. And you'll also crucially see how organizations are using the app to reach a user base. And the second thing also is, as I said, if you'd like to take this conversation further and you want to come to us and say, even if you don't necessarily want to use Researcher, but you want to just have more of a consultative call with us, then please do let us know, either via One Nucleus or directly. You can get in touch with Priscilla and I, and we'll happily have that conversation.
Very good.
Thanks, Pam. And just another question from me. What are the kind of most recent features that you've launched? Have you released anything exciting recently?
Yeah, it's the thing that I talk about most days to Priscilla, which is market research. I'm personally really excited about it because I just think the fact you can remove the bias is such a strength. And having come from the background I did quite a lot of market research, but I was doing it through my own channels. So you always have that little niggle in the back of your mind. You're like, is there bias built in here? And I think there's a lot more awareness around bias as well. But anyway, so I think we're able to do different types of market research. And I also like the fact that we can try and solve some problems or find some answers for organizations that are doing amazing things. And that's one of the things I get most excited about in this space, actually, is when I come to Cambridge, I go to Oxford, and the energy and the kind of the solutions and the things that are being worked on are just amazing and inspiring. And if we can be a part of that story in some small way, that's what I think is really exciting. So yeah, for me, it's a market research. And then Researcher Live, as we said, has also come out of COVID, but has remained. And actually one of the things for researchers is that they need to be part of these discussions. It's a really crucial part of their role, essentially, or their job. And actually for them to be able to do it in a light touch way and also a low cost way is really attractive as well, which is why I think we get really good turnout at our events.
Awesome. And I know you mentioned that people can follow up for a demo of the app. Is it possible to see a really quick insight to what it looks like on the web now, or don't worry if not, because I know you mentioned that people can follow up if they are interested.
Priscilla, are you able to, or I can join on my phone?
Yeah, I've been trying to connect my phone onto the Zoom, but it's really not working. So I was going to show the web app. I think if you can actually join via your phone, just because we're mobile first, so all of the features that we release are available on the mobile platform first. So the web is lagging quite a bit behind, just because we've got two two developers working on the mobile app and then one on the web. So he's always playing catch up, unfortunately. Yeah, we're available on all app stores. All you have to do is actually just search for Researcher on your Google or Apple Place, the Apple Store. Or actually, if you prefer using our web version, it's researcher-app.com. Although certain features like Researcher Live might not be as easily discoverable on there just yet, but we are working very hard to make sure that it's it can keep up with the mobile developments.
Is there a reason why you chose to go mobile first before web?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. In the beginning, I think it came about because of the ease of use and how when we were doing a lot of user testing as well, it was very much the case that when researchers were traveling or when they were on holiday, they still wanted an easy way to keep up to date with what was going on in their topic research area of choice. So I think the web app itself is still very relevant. A lot of users still use both the mobile and web, but at that time in 2017 there was nothing on mobile at all. So it was that was the main drive of why we went mobile first.
Amazing. How are you getting on, Plum? Don't worry if not.
I'm currently downloading Zoom onto my phone, so I think it's probably going to take too long, if I'm honest. But we can always do a recording, and we can send the recording across after this. If we send it to you, perhaps directly, and then we can send that out.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. And I mean, you guys are going to be on Helix on the day. What is it? Just you, Plum?
Yes, just me.
Awesome. Well, definitely, if you see Plum on the day, make sure you ask her lots of questions and things like that. So, actually, just one more question from me. Is it possible to index blog content from life science companies as well on the app?
Yeah, definitely. It's something we do. So if you have insight or blog or news that you want to be putting through into the app, then just drop us a note and we can look into that. We have a content editor who manages all that side of things and checks that the content is high quality, crucially, and therefore right for the app. So yes, is a short answer. And we do. I mean, we have a number of tech companies as well on there. So for example, Uber, we have institutions. We've now also got different types of content. We've got podcasts on there. So it's really far ranging. So yeah, Rebecca, Alan, would love you to download the app and have a scoot around and get a feel for the different types of content that are available on there.
Amazing. Wonderful. Well, if there's no more questions,
no, it's very interesting.
The reason I've gone quiet is because I'm already too busy playing with it to be listening anymore. So I have downloaded it.
Hey, nice one, Rebecca. Thank you.
Amazing. Wonderful. Alan, did you have any more questions? Or?
No, I think is there as well as the app, is there I didn't notice, is there a website where you can look for further information?
Yes, I'm going to pop it into the chat box now.
That would be good. Okay, then we can look at it later.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Wonderful.
I'll also drop I'll drop my email in there. So if you have any questions or follow-ups, then please just get in touch and have a conversation. And we can take the conversation from there, or obviously get in touch with one person and we can
via one nucleus. Very good.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Plum and Priscilla, for taking the time to present Researcher today. I've really enjoyed learning a little bit more about your app. That's it for now. I think our next session starts at 3 o'clock, so we hope to see you all there. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you for joining.
I just want to say thank you so much to One Nucleus. Looking forward to seeing you on Thursday, and really exciting to be building partnerships. So thank you, and Alan and Rebecca, thank you so much for joining.
Yes, thank you to both presenters, and I take the opportunity to say thank you to the on Helix, One Nucleus staff for all the good work they do. Thank you very much.
Totally agree.
Thank you very much all. I'll see you on Thursday.
you.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.